Hello and welcome to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be doing a reading for the Virgo personality for the month of May. So looking at general themes and energies coming up, breakthroughs and things to look forward to, and general guidance of how to navigate these energies. So in this reading I will be using the Aleister Crowley Thoth Deck, which is this deck here. And I'll also be using the Work Your Light deck by Rebecca Campbell later on in the reading for additional guidance. So if you like either of these decks, the links will be in the description below if you'd like to get some for yourself. Okay, so I'm just going to get straight into it. So looking at the main themes for Virgos in May, please, for those watching. Oh, hello. There's a few too many there. Pop those back 1 second. Main themes for... Oh, okay. I'll take those. Oh, I like this. Nice. Okay, one more card, please, for Virgo. Oh, we've got two. Okay. I'll take those both. All right, so we've got here, first of all, Six of Swords. So having a look at that, seeing what comes through to you intuitively. Like I always say, it's always important to take what you take from the cards as well. And then we've got Three of Wands, Virtue. So again, just having a look at that, seeing what comes through for you. And then we've got Seven of Swords as well. And we've got the Moon. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first one, with the Six of Swords. So whenever I see this card, it always feels like moving into smoother waters. It's always the expression that comes to my mind with this card. Like, it's like if things have been a bit challenging, things are going to be a bit smoother now. In traditional tarot, it is a picture of like someone on a boat, like moving, like traveling towards something. Sometimes it can speak of travel as well, and like actually traveling, but I feel like it's more like moving away from like the Five, which has been potentially challenging. Five of Swords can be a challenging energy, into easier, smoother territory. Okay, and then we've got here the Three of Wands, Virtue, and this card often speaks of like Wands is fire, so sort of taking action and moving forth. But when it's a three, it's like there's an established force. So let's say, for example, you've been working towards something, and now you're seeing things kind of like happening, if you know what I mean. So you've done the planning, you've done the sort of like figuring out what you want and like what you're driven towards, because it's about drive with fire, and wands is like drive. So now it's like there's an established, like things are sort of starting to happen now. So you might start seeing things that you've been working towards like as an established force. And then we've also got Seven of Swords, Futility. So this card speaks of a few things. Sometimes it can speak of like, where are we not being honest with ourselves? And like, where are we, self-deceit. It's seen as a deceitful card, but I honestly, usually when I pull this card, it's more a little bit of like a feeling of not really trusting that things are working out. Like futility kind of feels to me more like things feel futile, of like, oh, what's the point? So with this card being here, it's like just watching out for any potential sort of like sneaky thoughts of like self-deception, where you're not seeing the clear like truth of things. Yeah, it's like the truth that actually everything is magnificent and bountiful and life is perfect just as it is. It's that kind of thing, and like just a sneaky energy here potentially to be aware of. And the Moon also speaks of deception, of illusion. So there's maybe something here, just because they both came out together, if you notice that. There's something here about just being mindful of like potential, like getting caught up in illusion, and like, or maybe other people as well, potentially here, like other people sort of projecting their stuff onto you, and you getting caught up in like things feeling heavier than they actually are, if that makes sense. So it's just something to look out for, I think, here. Okay, so for Virgos, what's the big breakthrough, please? Oh, hello. Ah, lovely. Wheel of Fortune. So if things have been a bit challenging, the Wheel of Fortune, things are changing. And it's usually positive, because it's more like, when you're pulling this card, it's usually in the context of things having been a little bit more challenging. And we have had a very challenging month in April. Like, April's been, astrologically speaking, like so much has been going on with all of the like astrology. Yeah. Like, so we've had the North Node in Aries, we've had full moon in Scorpio, which isn't an easy transit, and more, Uranus and Jupiter conjunction. So it feels like things are changing. And with this card as well, it's a Jupiter ruled card, and Jupiter is the planet of like abundance, of optimism, of being jovial, of things just generally being lighter. Whenever I think of Jupiter, I always think of like, be the good, see the good, feel the good, hear the good, So things are going to feel easier. That's lovely. I love that, especially if it has been challenging for you. So good times ahead. And then something to look forward to. Oh gosh, it goes back. Actually, it doesn't feel quite right. Okay, there we go. Have one more, please. Something to look forward to. That's the one. So I'll actually show this one first. Got Knight of Discs. The first thought that came into my head when I saw this was stability. It's a very stable archetype. Sorry, I couldn't just think of the word there. Knight of Discs, yeah, if you look at him, it's like he's just very like sturdy. So it feels like, with it being something to look forward to, more stability this month if things have felt chaotic and unstable, if that makes sense. That just feels like that, because that came through so clearly. Like, that feels like really, there's a few additional meanings for this, but that feels important. And then we've also got the High Priestess here. So something to look forward to is that it might be easier to access our intuition this month. So if it has felt a little bit like things have been foggy or unclear, that we're going to be able to sort of tap into our own magic, actually, is what I want to say. If you've been wanting like clearer guidance for things and things have felt confusing, then that clarity around like, what do I actually want and what is my intuition telling me, and going inward is going to feel clearer. And yeah, more stability. That feels important. Yeah. For some of you, it's been chaotic. Yeah. Oh, okay. And then we've got one more question for this part. So looking at the guidance for Virgo, please. One more card, please. Well, like 50 came out, so I can't use all of those. Oh, lovely. Okay, so first of all, we've got 7 of Cups. And 10 of Cups. So yeah, so there's something here about, with the 7 of Cups here, this often speaks of like being, it is again this sort of energy that came up in the first part, the moon, illusion. Like, in traditional tarot, the picture on the card is like, there's like 7 different items floating around, and then there's one in the middle that's like shiny, and it's this thing of like being quite indecisive, and like things being yeah, like self deception, like deluding ourselves. So there's something here about just like making sure we don't delude ourselves. Like it's kind of an interesting message. And then also with the 10 of Cups here, it's like saying that, you know, things are working out. It's like the happy families card, like things are joyful and jovial, like just trusting that things are going to work out. And it feels very like centered around our emotional well-being. So just like taking care of ourselves this month, with it being guidance, it's asking you to take care of your emotional well-being. Doesn't feel like there's an awful lot of action this month. Again, like for most signs, it doesn't feel like that. Sort of. Some have had a bit more, but anyway, generally when I've been doing these readings, it's like it's more just about focusing on our cups is wellness and well-being. So focusing on our well-being this month, with it being the guidance. And yeah, just it is interesting how there's so much stuff around like potential like trickery of thoughts or something. I don't know. Like wonder if that resonates with you. I'd love to hear what you think and pop that in the comments because it's coming through quite clearly. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull some more cards from the Work Your Light deck to see what wants to come through for Virgos in May, please. Virgo in May. What additional guidance? Take that one. There we go. Okay. So we've got a few here. First one that came out is answer the call. What is your soul calling you to do? It feels a little bit like why the priestess here. It's like there's a need to go inward. Yeah, it's not so much about doing this month, but more about listening and getting in touch with your own intuition, and maybe even like developing a practice to allow you to do that. So like maybe developing like a meditation practice or a breathwork practice or something. I often do breathwork as a means to communicate with my soul, right? So it's something to clear the channel. It's like, yeah, it feels like quite a lot of divine feminine energy here, of like, because the priestess is very divine feminine, of just knowing how to sort of channel and get in touch with intuition. Because we've also got here trust the niggle. What is the niggling feeling trying to tell you? So if we don't listen, if we don't have a practice that allows us to cultivate our ability to listen, then we're not going to be able to know what the niggling feeling is actually trying to tell us. If we're always busy and doing and doing and doing, then how do we get the chance to take in what our soul is trying to ask us to do next, you know? Yeah, so it doesn't feel like it's asking you to do an awful lot, but more about listening this month. I feel like I'm repeating that quite a lot. And then interestingly, we've got quite a different sort of card here, which is how are you dimming your light in order to fit in? So for some of you, it's like you're being called to really like look inward and see where in your life you are not being your full true self. Yeah. This is interesting. Okay, because you know we've been talking so much about this like deceptive, like where are you not being like your authentic self to certain people, like, or something. Like it's something like that. It might not be quite like that, but it's like you're not showing your full brightness. That's a weird way of phrasing it. Like, okay, let me have a think about this. So it feels like you are being asked to be more of who you actually are, rather than trying to keep the peace and sort of like keeping your true self hidden from people because you're afraid of what they'll think, or you're afraid that you'll be ostracized, or you're afraid that you're going to be hurt in some way. And that's why there's all this kind of like deception that's going on, because I don't want to say that with any judgment. Like, I really hope you hear what I'm saying here. I'm not saying like stop lying to people. I'm not saying that. It's more like, why is it that it has been hard for you to reveal more of you? And this month is going to be asking you to really be more of who you are. And we need to see the real you. And that's the one that's wanting to shine and come through. Does that make sense? Like, hopefully that kind of makes sense. Um, and a need to sort of like have support around this as well, like showing yourself to people that you really like love and care about, and like building trust with people seems to be a bit of a theme as well. This is really interesting. So yeah, so there's quite a lot of, one of the big themes is that, and then there's also that it's not about taking lots of action, it's about going inward and doing some healing potentially as well. I'm sort of seeing here. Um, yeah. Oh, what an interesting month that you've got ahead. I would love to hear how this shows up for you, actually. So I think that's everything for Virgos. But yeah, thank you so much for watching that. I hope that was informative. And if you have liked this, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. That helps the channel grow as well, and it will allow you to get more content coming through to your page. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye.